talk all things nutrition, straight up. I'm one of your hosts, Christina Rice. I'm a holistic health coach, nutritional therapy practitioner in training, and the creator of the Paleo Women Lifestyle Program. You can find me on my website and blog, ChristinaRiceWellness.com, as well as on my other podcast, Wellness Realness.
And I'm your other host, Kara Halderman. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner from Dallas, Texas, NLP master practitioner and mindset coach, and creator of careaboutit.com. In this podcast, we'll be discussing all things paleo, health, and nutrition, along with answering questions straight from you.
If you'd like to submit a question for us to answer on the podcast, head to straightuppaleo.com or email us at straightuppaleo@gmail.com.
Remember our disclaimer. Materials in this podcast are only to be used as advice and are not to be used in place of general medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
If you want to support the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a rating and a review on iTunes. Enjoy the show! Sup, Kara?
Hey, sup? How's it going?
It's okay. I am recovering. I feel like the last 2 weeks have been very long in a whirlwind, and I'm just trying to recover today from my NTA workshop this weekend.
I know how freaking hard like those workshop weekends are. Not even that the material is necessarily hard. It's just like daunting, you know, all those hours.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because we were talking about this in our class, and it's funny because I look at these workshop weekends and basically what we do is, so like we had midterms on Thursday, so testing was all day Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday we work on new material. And like when I hear about that beforehand, I think that's not that bad, right? Like, you know, you just are going all day, but it is very emotionally and physically exhausting, and I don't even know how to explain it. And we were discussing this in our class, like a group of us, doing the functional evaluation for 4 days straight basically is really physically and emotionally taxing.
It's terrible.
It's
terrible. I remember like my last workshop weekend, I literally left in tears, crying because I literally couldn't handle it anymore. I was like, everyone stop touching me. I'm going to break down. Mm-hmm. And like, it was so bad.
Yeah, it was a lot. And it also, I mean, we'll get a little deep here. We were talking about how it can, okay, sorry. If people are listening and they don't know, so as nutritional therapy practitioners, we learn the functional evaluation, which is basically where we palpate areas of our clients' bodies to basically test for inflammation, see how the body is working and responding, and then that gives us an idea of, for example, what nutrients might need, what processes need more support, etc. Do you think that explanation made sense?
Yeah, totally. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. So it kind of looks, if you just walked by, it might look like someone is doing muscle testing, but it's not muscle testing. We're just palpating areas of the body. So you're basically being poked all over all weekend long. Okay. But we were talking about how this is just like emotionally can be very triggering for people. And it was for people in our group. Like to have somebody palpating you and like pressing on areas of inflammation, especially when you're in a group of people who, a lot of people who join the NTA, who join the program, like come from a place of having their own personal health struggle, right? And a lot of people have maybe chronic issues or have dealt with a lot of inflammation, health issues, and like it can just be very triggering to like be palpated constantly, and for that to bring things up emotionally. Or maybe there's somebody else who, I mean, it could be something unrelated, but just like any type of physical like trigger, like maybe someone in their childhood touched them in in a way that like made them uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's actually very triggering. Like that's what came up for me is there's a lot of digestive points that we palpate and that we go through. And it even goes beyond like, okay, yeah, I understand. Like if you actually feel inflammation in that area, having somebody like palpate and press deeply into your like stomach, into your tissue is very uncomfortable. Like I felt that, but also like there is an emotional response that went with that. So, and you're literally, as you're palpating, you're actually releasing the stored emotion. So that's why like you feel an emotional response when you're being palpated in those areas. And that's what I felt like being touched there over and over and over again. I just kept releasing all those emotions from that inflammation within my gut. And I just could not stop crying. Like, and it is in a weird way kind of therapeutic because you're releasing so much, but if you don't know where to put that energy, then like you can be kind of stuck and feel not so good afterwards.
I mean, I think it's especially hard because, I mean, just performing the FE or having it done to you just once is pretty like rigorous, I guess, you know, but to be doing it basically constantly for like 8 hours a day, I don't even know how many hours it was, for 4 days in a row in the context of we're all stressed out over midterms and learning new you know, it's like a high stress environment. We're all very type A. We're all like, apparently the LA classes are notorious for being super high strung and type A and like intense.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And so, you know, we're in a group of this, so that you're taking the test, you're super stressed out about the test, and then you move into 4 days of palpating and receiving palpations, and it's just a lot. Like, it is emotionally, I mean, every day I came home and I was like, I feel like I got hit by a truck. Like, I cannot do anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still recovering. And I am sore. I mean, from being palpated so many times.
Do you have any bruises? I had bruises.
I have a lot of bruises. Especially because, I mean, you and I are pretty fair. So, I mean, I bruise really easily. I don't know about you.
Yeah, super easy.
Yeah, I figured. So, it was just a long weekend, and I also had the flu. So, I was really, like, a mess. But I made it through, and I'm really proud of myself, and I swear to God, my essential oils saved me.
Saved the day.
They literally saved me. Like, I'm sorry, but if you ever have a sickness, get a veggie cap and fill it. I did like 3 to 4 drops of oregano oil and then 4 drops of On Guard essential oil from doTERRA, and that's like what I use as my medicine for any ailment or illness I have. And I will just take that like every 4 to 6 hours, and my flu like went away in 2 days.
That's so cool.
That was like, I am just such a, it's honestly crazy to me how that works. But yeah, I'm glad I made it through.
Yeah, me too. I was worried about you for a little bit.
My instructor was like, if you want, I can bring you a blanket down from my hotel room and you could just sit in the corner and like
sweet.
And like curl up. And I was like, if I do that, I will fall asleep and never wake up. So probably not a good idea.
No.
Probably not a good idea. But yeah, so that was my weekend, and I think it was just a lot because like we came back Monday and we were both exhausted, and then I got sick, and then I had to study my butt off, and then went straight into this workshop weekend, and I just feel like I haven't had a chance to breathe in like a week and a half. And I think the NTA conference was just exhausting for both of us too, so I just feel like I really need to decompress.
I'm in that boat. I am in that boat. I have like absolutely reached the point of exhaustion. Like I am in adrenal fatigue. Like right now, like I am in it. So
what happened?
Dude, I don't know. Like I literally don't know. But ever since we got back from the conference, like my body just collapsed, and I had to go straight to work the next day. So there was no downtime, and I just worked basically straight. And then my friends wanted to get together, and I was like, okay, fine. Cause well, long story short, my friend's going through a breakup. So like I need to be there for her. So anyways, we all got together, and like, I just feel like I have gotten zero sleep and all this stuff. And I just completely like basically mentally broke down yesterday. And I'm just like, I need to take a break. That's basically what's going on. I think I just overcommit myself and overstress myself. It's more of like a mental adrenal fatigue. It's really weird. You know what I mean? Like it's more of a mental thing, but I do feel a lot better today because I went to a shooting range yesterday. I went to a gun range, and there's something so like releasing about shooting guns. I don't know what it is. Sorry if you're like anti-gun or whatever, but I live in Texas and shooting ranges are the best. I've never been before ever in my life. And I felt so like such a badass woman because I can get over here and defend myself if needed be with a gun. And I shot a really like super big one. It was awesome. I went with my dad and my boyfriend, and it was awesome. And there are so many females there. It was like really cool seeing so many women shooting guns and feeling empowered around them and not just helpless around guns. That's like, I'm very pro gun. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get into the politics about it, but yeah, I am.
I would really love to learn how to shoot a gun. Like that's something I've always wanted to learn how to do.
It is actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, but I'm sore. I shot a couple.
Oh, I bet.
I'm really sore. I shot like a really tiny one. It's called a Ruger 380, and it's like this big. I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe like 8-10 inches long. And I was not expecting the kickback at all to be as much as it was. And then I shot this gun called a 10mm Chris Vector, which is literally giant. Like it is huge. And that one had less of a kickback than the smaller gun. Like it was very weird, but my shoulders are extremely sore today. But it was worth it.
It makes sense. Like in terms of physics that the big one would have less of a kickback.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. How? Wait, how?
Because it's like, as it's traveling through that bigger gun, that is picking up some of that force.
Yeah.
Versus a smaller one, it's rebounding straight to your body much quicker. Versus when it's bigger and longer, it has more of that to sort of rebound through.
That does totally make sense. And then also I forgot this gun that we are shooting. My dad is also really into guns and in his spare time, like watches YouTube videos about guns. Like I don't know what his deal is with them right now, but he bought this gun called a 10mm Chris Vector and whatever. It's basically brand new engineering to where the recoil, like, you know, you feel the kickback because it literally kicks back and like pushes you. Now the recoil goes back and down. So it eliminates like a lot of the kickback because it's going like back and down. It's really interesting engineering. And I felt like I was in Call of Duty when I was shooting this gun. I was like, I am fucking in it. Sorry. I am in Call of Duty, but it was really cool. And yeah, then we went to like celebrate my birthday, even though it was March 10th, but I hadn't celebrated with my parents. And I don't know, it was just a really good, like relaxing day. And I felt so much better after that. But today I decided, I was like, I just need to eliminate as much stress for like 2 weeks in my life as possible. And that's basically what I'm going to be doing. And I really just want to reevaluate like what my purpose is in this space and kind of define that and define the content that I want to be putting out there and really get clear with my intention, because I have the tendency to be very all over the place and I just want to be super clear about it. So I'm just giving myself like a 3 week space of relaxing and becoming clear. So I think we're both kind of in that spot of needing to rest.
Yeah, I think we should talk just a little bit more about that, because I think we are in the same emotional space. And I feel like I had last night I was like journaling really hard and just had some major like come to Jesus moments with myself. But I mean, so stepping back for you for 2 like, what does that mean? Like, what are you going to do?
So I kind of said this on my Instagram stories today, but I am not doing my newsletter for a couple weeks. I'm just taking a break. I'm taking a break from all of my work that has to do with being a practitioner, except for this podcast, duh, but everything that has to do with me being a practitioner. And I cannot help people if I'm not mentally sound and in that space. So I just cannot put out a lot of content right now if I'm not in the right headspace. So I am kind of stepping away from that. I'm not doing my newsletter. I was really into working out a lot. For the past month, I've been on this kick of working out 5-6 days a week. And it was almost like I didn't know that I was working out so much because it became a routine, but I was overtraining. I was overworking out and exhausting myself. So I'm stepping back and only working out 4 days a week now. And sleeping in more. I'm definitely going to sleep in more because for, like I said, a couple months, I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day to just go and get stuff done. And then I need to reestablish. I'm going to reestablish my morning routine. I had a pretty extensive morning routine that had a lot of steps. It was wake up, drink warm water, journal, do a quick meditation, do my affirmations. And that really just set the tone for me for my day. And I lost it for the past couple months because I've been focusing on other things, but I'm realizing that routine is what really helped me get things done. And it makes me a more sound person. So it's really just stepping back from some responsibility and then adding in those things that I know make me feel really good.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan.
What are you going to do?
I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's just I think I just have to be really honest with myself and realize that all the things I put on my to-do list for one day are realistically what I should be what regular people do in a week. And I need to give, I just feel like I'm really hard on myself. And I feel like I need to give myself some grace where it's I didn't get to this today. I'm the type of person where it's it's on my list. I don't care what time it is. I have to finish this list. I can't end my day, unless it's done. And I need to be okay, it's X time. I worked all day. I didn't get it done. It's fine. I'll push it to tomorrow. And actually making myself turn off. I think it's also hard for me because it's hard for me to switch off because I do love what I do, so it doesn't feel like work necessarily, but it is emotionally draining when I never quit working. It's the only times I stop something work related is when I eat meals, so it's
so crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's after dinner, it's back to work and then until I go to sleep, and it pushes my sleeping to when I don't want it to be. And I realized this weekend really reset me because I had to wake up pretty early, just to be there. Our days were earlier than my days usually are. So I was waking up at 5, and I was oh, this will be great because it'll reset me and make me go to bed at 9 or 10, which is what I want to be doing. But I couldn't do it because I realized in my head, I would be home and I would just kind of it would be 9 or 10 and I'm well, it's only 9 or 10. I still have a few more hours of work that I can fit in, and I realized it's just a, what's the word? The way, a headspace thing, it's just
it's a habit.
Yeah, it's
almost
a habit. And I need to get, why is it normal for me to think, oh, it's only 9 o'clock. I still have a few more hours of work I could fit in. I need to be able to tell myself, after dinner, it's okay for me to take 3 or 4 hours to just chill, and it is hard for me to just chill.
I know it's really hard for you to chill. I stayed with you for 5 days and you have chill, but not a lot. You're always doing something.
I just really need to be productive. That's how, I feel
I can tell.
I just like have a heart, like I need to be productive, and I get it from my mom. And I was honestly texting my mom about it this week. And because she was like, I'm so tired, I'm so burnt out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and I was saying the same thing back to her. And I was like, she was like, sorry, you probably get it from me because we both got the flu. And she's like, it's because you work too hard. I'm like, yeah, I get it from you because my mom, like growing up, like my mom's the type of person who wakes up at 5 a.m., works out from 5 to 6, then she goes straight to the office. She works until 10 p.m., comes home, eats, and then does more work until like 1 a.m. Like
that's too much.
Like
me.
She is running like I run pretty fast. My mom runs a million times faster than me. So we're very much cut from the same cloth. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can like, I don't know, just like today I was kind of like trying to ease into it. And today, like I have my to-do list and some things I need to get done. And there were things where I was just like, I don't want to do it. And usually I'd be like, I have to. And today I was like, I'm just not going to do it if I don't want to. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's good. Like, I think that's good to establish. And I wish we could like shift. You don't necessarily have to like not be a productive person, but I wish people could start to understand that like not doing something all the time is actually productive, but in another way. It is. And it like makes me upset when people think that you are not being productive if you're like not doing something all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you're not working all the time, then you're not grinding hard enough. You're not hustling hard enough. You're not productive enough. But I think if you're a listener of this podcast, you kind of understand that like self-care is being productive just in another form. Yeah. It definitely is. I think it's also complicated because, I mean, I was thinking about it today. I'm like, I can't remember the last day where I didn't have to do some form of work, whether that be school work or work for my business, because my business is so much like my life at the same time. Yeah. You know, so it's really hard for me to find a day where it's like I'm actually completely just not doing anything. And on days when I don't have to do work, I do schoolwork because I have more time to do that. Or on days when I don't do schoolwork, that's when I'm doing my work, you know. And like I was looking at my calendar today. I'm like, I literally have something scheduled every single day for the next 3 months. Yeah. So then, like, is there a day that you can block out like a chunk of time and just be like, from here to here, I'm doing nothing or doing like what I actually want to do that doesn't involve school or work? I mean, I need to find a time. Like, I need to cancel something, and I just need a day where I'm like literally not doing anything, which is hard to come by. It's so important to have one of those days. Yeah. It really is. And even if you're doing things, like I experienced this for myself, even if you're not actually working on that day, but you're still like running around doing stuff. Like that's how my weekends are. Like I don't really do work on weekends. Like I don't answer emails. I don't do anything on Saturdays and Sundays, but I'm still running around like getting brunch, like going shopping, going to the grocery store. Like I pack in my weekends and I wonder why I'm still so freaking exhausted. Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't work. I didn't do anything like mentally draining, but it still is. So if we seriously don't have any actual downtime, like literal downtime, it's still exhausting, you know? Absolutely. And I'm like kind of upset with myself because I promised myself, I mean, you know how stressed out I was before this weekend. And I was like, I have been telling myself, I was like, after workshop weekend, I'm going to take a week and I'm just going to like lay on my bed and watch Harry Potter for a week and just like veg out. And like, I didn't allow for that because I just scheduled things because it's habit. And I'm like, I need to just do that. Like, I think you do. Because I'm burnt. For sure. I'm getting burnt out. But I'm going to find a time to like, I'm going to figure it out. We're there. Yeah, we're honestly, getting there. I'm making small and steady steps that are honestly really helping. Like, not answering DMs helps me so much. And like, taking texting off of my computer helps so much because like, I mean, sorry to everybody who gets mad at me that I don't respond to text messages anymore. But honestly, my mental sanity has improved so much. Like, it was a major source of anxiety to me.
all those text messages and seeing them. And like now it's like I'm just the kind of person, if I see it, I get stressed. Same with emails. Like taking email off my phone helped me so much. Like, so all of those are really good improvements, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's just like clearing up mental space. It's like the same concept as when people feel really good when they clean up their house or they go through and they like throw stuff away that they don't want anymore. It's the same thing with like the phone, because every text message you have, every notification that's on there, it's occupying some part of your consciousness. And we have so little consciousness throughout the day. Like the majority of the day we're unconscious, and the little consciousness that we have needs to be put towards like what we want to do, like work. But if you have all those little notifications and text messages there, like it's taking up space in your brain and it's stressful. So I get it. And like clearing it out and just not answering is super, super helpful.
Yeah,
I get it.
Exactly. And it's also, people are like, well, don't worry about responding. And I'm like, you don't understand. It doesn't matter if I respond or not. As soon as I just see that it's there, it
drives you crazy.
It's triggering something, you know, and they have so many studies about this, and like there's science behind this, like a lot of it having to do with Facebook and social media and like how it's contributing to depression and anxiety. And just like when people see the Facebook notifications pop up, I don't really go on Facebook, so this doesn't really happen that often for me. But like this is the only actual studies I've read on this is in the context of Facebook, because it's, I guess, old school at this point. Wow. Like seeing those notifications affects the neurotransmitters in our brains and affects our anxiety and depression level. You know what I mean? It's just seeing the number. Like, it's pretty crazy what little notifications can do to us. I swear.
I know. It really is. Okay. But on another note of stress, so I don't know if I told y'all this last podcast, but Christina got me this acupressure mat for my birthday. And like, honestly, I have no idea what this thing does, but I'm obsessed with it. And whenever I'm standing up, like right now, I felt super stressed before this podcast. I've been running around like all day, and I'm just standing here, like rolling my feet on the mat. And I'm like, this is so nice.
Are you barefoot?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It hurts me to stand on my barefoot. I have to wear socks.
Wait, really?
Yeah. It hurts me.
It feels good. I like it.
I'm weak,
I don't know what it does, but I'm really into it.
They're pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I like love it a lot.
I'm so happy you love it. I'm like, I just love giving gifts. It's like my favorite thing.
You're a good gift giver. That's for sure. And I get to see your face again in a couple weeks.
I know.
I forgot that was happening.
I know. No rest from me. Sorry. I'll be back for my
I'm going to
birthday.
like force you. I'm going to like force you to rest and be like, everyone, Christina is sleeping. We'll just like make food and wake her up later.
Please do. I'm not working that week. Like I just can't.
Don't. Yeah, seriously. Don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But do you want to know something funny that happened this morning? Okay. It's not that funny. It was just like weird. So I was wearing my Somnifix last night, and like, I thought that I got a really good night's sleep, and I woke up and I was feeling good. And this happens to me sometimes where I'll wake up and like, it's off of my mouth and I'm like, where the heck is it? Like, where did it go? Did I rip it off? And it was wrapped around my thumb.
That happened to me once too.
Yeah, I'm like, how does this how did you get here? I'm so confused.
Oh my gosh. No, but okay, that's another thing that this weekend, I mean, I was a wreck for like, because there were 2 days I couldn't use it because I was so congested, and I was a wreck. And then as soon as I was able to put it back on, I felt so much better.
I know. That's how I felt when I had the flu and I couldn't use it.
Yeah. If you guys haven't tried Somnifix mouth tape, you really need to do it. Hypoallergenic, has a special little air vent in the front. Is that what they call it, an air vent? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But you can like breathe through it if you really need to. But mouth taping is what all the cool kids are doing now to help put us into a sympathetic or not parasympathetic state.
Sympathetic is on the brain right now.
Sorry. Sympathetic's on the brain. A parasympathetic state while we sleep, so we can sleep throughout the night, prevents dry mouth, prevents snoring, prevents drooling, prevents all the things. It helps immunity. Like when you are regularly breathing through your nose rather than your mouth, it actually does help your immunity. So this is huge.
It basically saves lives.
Yeah.
So
We're obsessed with our Somnifix. And you can get 10% off if you use the code SUPSLEEP. SUP, SLEEP. Yeah, you just go to somnifix.com or Amazon, and 2-day shipping, you get it. It's the best. And please keep sending me, like, tag us when you wear it. And
I know, I love getting your pics.
Yeah, tag us so we see you with the Somnifix. Like,
they're hilarious.
mouth taping is gonna be, it's like planking of 2009. 2009
it's like
planking.
planking. Oh my God.
It's mouth taping of 2018 and beyond. That's what it is.
Even my boyfriend is upset. Like, he really likes them too. And he's like a normal guy. Like, he's not necessarily into biohacking or like health, but he really likes it too. So even normal people can get into it, you guys.
No, I was going to bring my friend some this weekend, and I got there and I was like, oh, I have to give you mine. And she goes, oh no, she goes, so the girl she was staying with, another girl in our class, had some last night, so I just used it. I was like, oh my God, you had some? And she's like, yeah, I love it. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Amazing.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, so great. So make sure you guys check them out if you haven't. Okay, can I share something?
Share away.
That I'm really excited about, because you know that I have been, I talked about this with my class, and I was talking about it with some of the women in my Paleo Women Lifestyle program, and so I want to share with everybody else because I'm very excited about it, and Kara knows. So basically, I figured out the whole leptin resistance, is that related to low carb diets thing.
And what did you find?
And yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And like, I guess it's like all the, like, I just like found like actual stuff, and I figured this out for myself in my mind completely and surely, like 2 nights ago, when I was just like reading so many scientific like studies and articles and journals with so many big words. And then I was trying to find some weird,
with so many big words. Sorry.
so
like,
many.
Wow.
I go through like that, but then like I was like, how has nobody talked about this in just like layman's terms? You know, this is the problem. There's so much out there that people just haven't like restated. And I struck gold, and I found something that explained it pretty well, which is what I shared. So that like the girls in my program could understand it. You know, it's like, I'm not going to send people like 10 different studies to read through, right?
Yeah. So like what does it say kind of in a nutshell?
Okay. So let me just kind of summarize this. Okay. So talking about, because what we were discussing was just like the long-term effects of a ketogenic diet, for instance, like really low carb diets. And what I think that is really important for people to understand is when you live a paleo lifestyle, you are already naturally much lower carbohydrate than the general population, and many of us forget that. Kara and I included. We always have to remind ourselves, like, we are naturally low carb, okay?
I know.
So then when all of us in the paleo space are like going quote low carb, we're going like very low carb, right? And I'm just interested in how this affects us very long term, because I know it has negative effects, but right now with this this keto craze, everybody is kind of just like, do keto forever and it will solve things. And I think that personal experiences are showing opposite, you know? Like,
yeah, for a lot of people.
So there's some caveats, but it's still too early in the craze for any scientific stuff. I feel like this is like going to be like the low fat thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like it was, well, for the low fat thing, like everyone, you know, had amazing results in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they realized, oh crap, like why do I feel like absolute poop right now?
Mm-hmm. Because you have to understand, it's like people, we're hopping on this as we start discovering and feeling it, and trying it. I can't even talk right now. But this is happening like right now. Like there are no studies of people who have been in ketosis long term, mm-hmm. like for tons of years, because it's like we're the guinea pig generation right now, okay? The same way the low fat people were the guinea pig. So we look back and we think, oh, they're so dumb, they went low fat, right? But they didn't know, like, you know, they didn't have the information we have now that we can look back and see longer term studies of what that did, right? Sorry, that was just my rant. Okay.
No, I get it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna like go like back to like basics. Okay, so we know that carbs are involved in the release of insulin in our bodies, right? And insulin works alongside leptin to deal with how our body responds to food. So leptin is released from fat cells, and it's basically what tells us that we're full. It's a good way to explain it, right?
Yes.
So leptin is released from fat cells. They get bigger during a meal. They tell our bodies we're full, we don't need any more. So when I'm talking about leptin resistance or just like leptin sensitivity, it's basically just talking about leptin's ability to tell our hypothalamuses, okay, we're good, we're done. Okay, so basically this is saying, so insulin stimulates the synthesis of leptin in our bodies, okay? And keto significantly lowers insulin, which we all know, ding, ding, right? Ding. Which therefore lowers leptin. And here's where it connects to our reproductive systems for us as women specifically, especially, is that our leptin receptors are found in our ovaries. Okay? So
ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until I was reading all this stuff. Okay, so when you have lower levels of leptin in your body, that's how it can like negatively affect your reproductive system. And it can cause imbalances with our hormones, with our sex hormones. So as a woman, right, so you have low leptin, so your body is basically telling you, like, that's not a hunger signal. So low leptin, your body thinks, I'm hungry, I'm starving, and then that causes a stress response.
Yeah.
Right.
And also it's because when you're in keto, you have super low insulin. So when your insulin is low, your leptin is low.
Uh-huh. So
all of that, it's like one big cycle.
Exactly. So basically leptin is like needed for us to help with our hormone balance as women, and then also as women. And then also it's like when we have really low leptin, it basically has the same, it can have the same effect on leptin sensitivity as eating a high carb diet. Like a high carb, like high refined food, inflammatory diet. You know what I mean? Like when you go too far in either direction, it's still affecting your leptin sensitivity.
Yeah, totally. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, and that was just one, this whole article is super interesting. And we'll put it in the show notes for people to read, because that's just the part about the reproductive system and the leptin, but it talks about effects on adrenal fatigue. It talks about thyroid, athletics, and just all those, and it just like really helps to see how long term it can affect these different things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We really have no freaking clue, like, what this is going to do for normal people long term, like non-epileptic patients long term.
Well, we
have no clue.
This is the thing. It's like people are like, it's like if you look up like how to reset your leptin, it's like go on a low carb diet, right? But there's such a thing as too low carb for too long. No one's qualifying how long do you go low carb. Like for me, and like this is what happened to me. Like I went low carb, and that helped me like get rid of my insulin resistance. But then what we're told is basically just stay on this. And then that totally screwed with my leptin because I did it for like years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just because something is working for you right now doesn't mean it's going to work forever. Like there's a difference between what you need to do to like address a problem versus like how to live your general life.
No, I agree. And I think sometimes people find something that like works for them in the moment and they just run with it forever. And they think like it is the answer. It is gold. Like everyone should do this. And that is what like the diet industry makes their money off of, is people having good short-term experiences and finding relief. But really, like, we are ever evolving beings. And if we try to stay in one period of time for a while, like we will quickly find that things start to fall apart for us. Because we're not the same. Like, and how can we expect, like, if we change our hair color like every couple years, like if our height changes, like if we're aging, how can we expect our food intake to be the same for our whole entire life? Well,
also it's like we read all this stuff on the internet, right? You get all this quote health information, but this person is putting this out to what, like general America, general society, and you cannot like consume the information in the same way. If you are Patty, who eats a paleo diet, and doesn't have, versus Sally, who eats McDonald's every day and lives off of toaster strudels and Pop-Tarts. You know what I mean? Like, you can't consume the information in the same way, because a low-carb diet to Patty is very different than a low-carb diet to Sally. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes. 100%. Like, it's just very different for every single person. I used to think that what I was eating was high carb. Mm-hmm. Like, seriously, I used to think that, and that was like 80 grams of carbs a day. Guys, that is not high carb. Like, if you are thinking that is high carb right now, then I'm just going to say, like, you have a distorted view, like, on your macros. Like, that's not, no, it's not high carb. And it caused a lot of problems for me when I thought that was high. Mm-hmm. Like, I used to think that eating a sweet potato was going to spike my insulin and, like, make me go crazy, basically. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't. It does not.
It's a much more complex picture. So I just wanted to share that, because I just got really excited that I, like, for myself, connected all the dots with the reproductive system, the leptin, the adrenals, that, like, all of it finally, like, just connected for me.
Makes sense.
And, like, I found this. I'll have to send you the study. It's like,
I want to read it.
5 million pages.
It's fine.
But yeah, and we'll link to this in the show notes in case you're interested. But yeah, that's that. Really cool. I just wanted to share our geeky things that I found that I was excited about. Should we answer a question?
Let's do it. Okay. So first question is from Haley. She says, "Hi ladies." She has 2 questions. Number 1, what food allergy sensitivity test do you trust and recommend? My GI doctor says that there isn't any data or scientific research or accuracy on them. What are your thoughts? How often should you retest? Do you recommend an elimination diet to test on yourself to see what you're allergic to? So that was question number 1. And we talked a little bit about this, but we didn't really talk about, like, specific tests. I honestly have never done a food sensitivity test. I am very much so, I use my feelings in my body. So that is what I like to do. But I know you have more experience with the actual testing. So go for it.
Well, we've definitely, like, gone in depth about these before. Yeah. Like, check out, I think it was one of our first 5 episodes. Like, I talked about this for like an hour.
Oh, wait, we actually, we did.
Yeah, so
I forgot.
I would go back and listen to that, but my short answer, just because I don't want to talk about it again, is there's no food sensitivity test that's going to be 100% accurate, okay? It's just not a thing. It can be a really good guide if you are in a position where you have, like, basically done everything and you still don't know what to do and you're trying to just, like, really nail down a gut healing protocol. I don't think it is 100% necessary, but it can be a useful tool. The only ones that I trust are the MRT, that's my favorite one, and Cyrex Labs would be my second favorite. Those are the ones I would go to. But I think at the end of the day, really listening to your body, I think you can eliminate things that you feel like aren't serving you and just go off how you feel. At the end of the day, your body's going to tell you more than any test is going to tell you.
Yeah, I agree, like, 100%. I think that, and I think honestly, we don't want to do that, the whole listening to our body part, because it is work. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna be honest, like, a lot of people don't want to do the work. They just want to take a test. Yeah. They want to see the results. They want it to be done. But I think it's actually more insightful, and you learn a lot more about yourself when you take the time to, like, prepare a meal, eat it, and then actually sit there and, like, be in tune and, like, throughout the day check in with yourself and be like, okay, how am I feeling? How's my energy? How's my digestion? I have several questions that I ask myself because all of my food intolerances produce the same symptoms for me, basically. And that's either, like, bloating, constipation, swelling, and achy joints. Those are like the 4 things that I've noticed. So I will literally sit there after I eat and be like, do I feel this? Do I feel this? Do I feel this? Do I feel this? And if I feel one of those, I probably know it wasn't like a good fit for me. And it took me a little bit of self-discovery to figure that out, and actually a lot of time just sitting there and trying to be in tune with my body. But then you don't have to heavily rely on technology to understand yourself. And you're actually getting to know yourself a lot better, and you actually have appreciation for your body when you do those things, instead of slipping into the mindset of, well, like, poor me, it's my body's fault, I hate my body. Like, I feel like that's what testing can do for us sometimes. It disconnects us from our body. It's really useful. I use testing a lot, but sometimes I feel like it can disconnect us even further, and getting away from the actual feelings that we feel within our body kind of can sometimes, step us back a little bit. So that's why I'm a proponent of just really listening to yourself versus testing.
Yeah. You guys, our ancestors didn't have the MRT food sensitivity test.
No, they did not.
They were so in tune with their bodies and what felt good and what caused issues, that in nature, the foods that, like, when their body had a reaction to something, they knew, I don't eat that for survival. And we have just gotten so far away from that. There's 2 things I want to say. So she asked, like, how often should you retest? I don't think that, this is the way I do it. So, you get, for example, maybe you're doing your stool test alongside the MRT. I mean, there is absolutely no reason to be taking a food sensitivity test unless it's in conjunction with like a stool test or other tests. You don't just take a food sensitivity test on its own. That is useless, because the food sensitivities aren't just. They're there for a reason. It's going to go away magically. Yeah, they're not just going to go away. Like, you need to get to it's not the food that's the issue. It's the terrain. It's the environment, right? So you need to address the environment, which means addressing, let's say, it's like the gut. So you get your stool test, and you figure out what's wrong. So you tackle that, and at the same time, you remove those foods. And then as you're tackling the gut and your symptoms improve, and I recommend people leave these foods out of their diet for 3 months, then you reintroduce. And if you have a reaction, you maybe don't eat that. And if you don't, then it's fine. And I wouldn't really retest unless like something else big came up later on with another health issue. You know what I mean? It's not like, you don't just like keep retesting.
Or unless you still like are having that health issue. Like if nothing is changing or if things are getting worse, there's really no point. Yeah,
exactly. So if you're still having the issue, then maybe you would retest while you're still working on the issue. But like, you don't just like retest to check if it's not there, because something's always going to show up. So there's that. The other thing is you can do your own test at home. You can do the Coca Pulse test. This is all you do. You sit down, take your pulse for a minute, 60 seconds, and then whatever food you want to test, you chew in your mouth for 30 seconds. Make sure you're tasting it. Then you take your pulse again for a minute. If your pulse raises by, is it 6 or higher? I think it's 6,
Yeah,
right?
6 or higher.
6 or higher, then your body had a response to that reaction. To that food. So that can give you some insight into if your body is, reacting to that food, if your pulse increases. And that's something you can do yourself.
That's like a really underrated test. We learned that in the NTA.
Yeah.
And well, the reason, like, you're probably like, why, like, does that even matter? Well, if you eat something and your pulse has risen for 6+ more points, like what's happening is your body is in a more stressful response to that food. It's having to work harder to defend yourself basically against the food or break it down or whatever. So your pulse is raising. You're in a stress response. So it can be like a clue. Yeah. For allergies.
It's not like tolerance. It's not an end all be all, but it can give you an idea. I kind of want to know, like, you know what I mean? If something's making your heart race, for me, when I have too much garlic, my heart is pounding.
Yeah. Dude, that's what happens to me when I eat plantains. I told you that. Like, when I eat plantains, my heart, like, races out of my chest. I don't get it.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so it could be, anything, like, you know what I mean? It's just some kind of stress response in your body. And I think it can be useful information to know. And I just think exercises like that can just help you get more in tune with yourself.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Should we go to our next question?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Have you heard or read Womencode by Alyssa Vitti? I just started it, and it sounds like a book that will cure you from the inside out, focusing on the endocrine system. It sounds so promising. She recommends taking a digestive enzyme every day at lunch to better absorb the nutrients. Thoughts? How much is too much when it comes to ingesting digestive enzymes? Do you have a period of time you recommend implementing them into your diet? Are there trigger signs to take them or start retaking them?
There's lots of questions in that one question.
Well,
have you read the book Womencode?
No.
I've read it.
But I feel like I've read it because I feel like I know everything that's in it.
Yeah. I read it, and I actually think it's a good book. I think it's a really good book for women that are not very in tune with their cycles and how they work. And it's a very good introductory book. So I actually do recommend that, like, all women that kind of want to get to know themselves a little bit better on how your period works, I do recommend that they read it. As for what you said about just like that the book will cure you from the inside out by focusing on the endocrine system, I don't know about that. I don't think it's as in depth as it needs to be to do that, but I think it can start to create a rhythm. And what it really does, it's like a very good introductory book. So she really focuses on like moving away from the processed foods and like coming back to whole foods, and then timing what types of food you eat with like what phase you're in with your cycle. And I do think that that is super smart, and I like that. But like anything, I feel like most of the success comes with because you're just eliminating the processed foods.
Yeah, basically.
Like, honestly, like I really do feel that, because I did this Womencode thing. Like, I'm paleo. I don't eat processed foods really. Like, I haven't for a very long time. And I was like, oh, I'm going to implement these strategies of like incorporating the raw I can't even talk. Leafy green veggies around this time and other foods around this time. And honestly, I did not notice like a single thing. And it was more stressful for me than anything to have to think about like, oh, I am ovulating, I have to eat this. Like, yeah, you know, so it was more stressful for me, and I didn't want to do it.
I've heard that from a lot of people, that it was super stressful to like, you eat this particular food at a certain time, and this, like, and that's just going to cause more issues if you're stressed out. And also, honestly, I think a lot of the things, like the food she says to eat at certain times, it's like relatively arbitrary. Like, a lot of foods she says, like, oh, only eat this during, I don't know, follicular stage. Like, you could probably make an argument to put it into the other categories too. I think that exactly. She was just kind of like trying to differentiate that book from others, because I mean, I've like looked through it. I haven't sat down and read it, but I've looked through it and I've read things, and like, it seemed kind of just like, I feel bad saying this because I know so many people love it, but it just seemed kind of like you guys, you don't have to read a book to know to eliminate like processed foods and like gluten.
That's
dairy,
what half of the book is
soy.
about.
Yeah, and I'm just like, actually, I'm pretty sure I read in there she said to eat soy, and I was very confused.
Soy is like very hot topic. Like, there are a lot of people that say that soy is beneficial during your period.
I'm not even going to get into it. Well,
I want to do more research about it because it's really interesting.
I just want to finish my sentiment, which was that I feel as though the book, from what I gathered, I have not read it, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably, whatever. It seemed like nothing you couldn't find just by like Googling, like, how do I feel better on my, like from like any paleo blog would like tell you the same information in a blog post.
Kind of like yes and no. Her general guidelines, yes. Like the way that she tells you how to eat for generally, yeah, you could find that information anywhere. And I think that's really where most of the change comes for a lot of people, is just eliminating the processed foods. She did differentiate herself by like using the timing of the different phases of your cycle. And the one thing that I actually really do appreciate about it is the exercise. like she gives exercise recommendations for what phase of your cycle that you're in. And that's actually been one thing. There's a couple things that stuck with me from that book. And that's been one thing that's actually really helped me with my cycles, because like during your period, this is kind of like a duh moment though, when you think about it. Like you should know this. You don't really need to be doing like high intensity interval training like during your period, because it's a stressful time. But I was doing intense workouts, and I would wonder why I'm literally so flipping exhausted all the time and felt like crap and was cramping. Like you're already inflamed from your period. You don't need to inflame more from hard exercises. Like she says to do more gentle restorative type stuff. And I implemented that, and it changed my periods for me a little bit. So that was a good piece. Yeah,
I guess I just like, I probably sound like such a, I guess for me, like with the workout thing, that was my thought. I was like, everybody was like, she explained this, and I guess for me, I was just kind of like, but I've read that, like, first of all, that's intuitive, and like I've read that 3 million other places before. I guess I just get confused when people put out the same information, just in like, I don't know. People are like, oh my gosh, I guess, I don't know.
I think it'd be good to read it, because it is very interesting. I guess I didn't realize
that people didn't know that.
No, people don't know that, and even I didn't know that. And she says, like, even in the phases leading up to your period, you have a lot more energy to burn. You have more energy the closer you get to your period. So that's kind of the time to like ramp up your exercise if you wanted to, and then taper down when you're on it. But most people don't correlate that.
Well, this is the problem though. Wouldn't it be much better just to like get in tune with your body and listen to your body?
So yeah, it is.
Know, I think like what this is doing that's really great is it's like basically giving people permission to like calm down when their bodies are trying to tell them to calm down.
Well, exactly. And that's why the book actually is good, because people don't associate like, I don't know, there's still that message out there. Like I was just watching a freaking like tampon commercial the other day, and these girls are like doing super intense exercise, and they're all like, you can still do all of this like with our tampons, and still advocating for like, go, go, go. You don't need to rest. So that's still very much like prominent in our culture. And it's really hard. I can see how it can be really hard for women who are not very in tune to their body to just all of a sudden do that. Like there's still this expectation that you need to work out even when you're on your period. So I liked her message there.
That circles back to what we were talking about at the beginning with the problem in our culture of just this, it's almost like we are shamed if we rest.
Yeah. And it all circles back to that.
You know what I mean? Like, isn't it crazy how this has just become such a prominent, like, it's just like subconscious and ingrained in us. Like even, you know, it's like not even just like now it's in the context of work and life, you know, personal life. If it's a weekend, you're not out partying, like you're lame, right? If you're not working your butt off all day, every day, if you're not working from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., then you're a slacker at work. You know, if you're on your period, you're not still out and about doing backflips and swimming in the pool, then you're lazy. You know what I mean? It's like this just like mentality of like, you have to be go, go, go. You have to, like, resting is something to be ashamed of, and I think that we need to completely flip that conversation.
Yes, I do too. And that's the main reason I like her book. She is literally giving you scientific evidence of why it is okay to rest. Like, that's what she's doing. And then she's simplifying your diet a little bit more. And that's kind of it. And yeah, that is kind of it. The other thing about that book, though, that I think is cool, I also have her app. I actually use her app. I find it really, really useful. I don't even know what it's called.
Flow Living.
Flow Living. I actually use it to track my cycle. And what I like about it, and she talks about this in the book too, I'm going to look at it. I go to my cycle phases, and it tells you, she talks about how you're in different phases of your cycle, like what types of things to focus on more, like when you should be doing projects, or if you need a little bit more mental downtime, or when it's time to like reevaluate your life. Like, and I think it's really interesting because it brings in like the piece of mindfulness into your period. And the whole book embodies like the body, the mind, and kind of like the spirit as well with your period. And all of that kind of encompasses being a woman. So she's really just revamping like what it means to be a woman again. So she even integrates the mindset piece into that. And that's what I appreciated about her book, but it wasn't anything that was like groundbreaking to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess those are the thoughts. Do you want to talk about
digestive enzymes?
Yeah. I mean, I think that digestive enzymes are relatively foolproof, but at the same time, like, you shouldn't, like, if you have to take them with every meal for the rest of your life, then there's probably something digestively you should be working on, like getting to the root of the issue.
Basically.
But you're not going to, it can definitely help, and I totally am a big proponent of them, but, like, I think in real life, like, I mean, optimal situation would just be, like, you don't have to take them, but maybe with a big, heavy meal, you have them every once in a while. If you're going through, if you have a leaky gut or you're going through something digestively, then yeah, I really recommend supplementing with them so you can make sure that your body can digest the nutrients it's getting and absorb everything while you're healing. So, like, for example, I've been on digestive enzymes for 3 years. It's not causing me any issues, and I'm starting to wean off of them, and I don't really have any issues when I don't take them, so that's a good sign. But you're not gonna, like, do yourself any harm by taking them. I think it's, if you have digestive issue, like if you are experiencing bloating or constipation or diarrhea or I don't know what else, when you're eating your meals, you would feel like you're not digesting your food. I would include them. That's what I think.
But like you said, let's get back to the root of like the issue. Like, why do you need digestive enzymes? The pancreas secretes enzymes when food enters the small intestine, and that food has to be a certain acidity in order to like release the digestive enzymes from the pancreas. And that comes back to the stomach. Since we're making our way up now, like, do you have enough acidity in your stomach, and are you chewing your food completely? So there's always like a root cause. And then also a lot of people, like myself included, I have had this tested. I do have pancreatic like insufficiency. Like, I insufficiently secrete enzymes. And I've had that tested, and people like that actually have shown, there are studies on this, they've shown to benefit from long-term taking a digestive enzyme. Taking a digestive enzyme for people with pancreatic insufficiency can actually boost your own levels of enzymes. So there's like a little bit of both sides, but I think like, yeah, you can take them. You're not going to hurt yourself by taking digestive enzymes, but always think back to the root cause of why do I need a digestive enzyme? And there's like 1,000 different root causes.
But like she mentioned, the easiest ones are you chewing thoroughly, slowly, completely? Do you have enough stomach acid?
And are you stressed when you're eating?
Yeah.
Because you will not secrete enough enzymes if you are stressed while you're eating. Mm-hmm. And recently I noticed, like, I've been relying pretty heavily on digestive enzymes lately because my digestion's been kind of wonky, like, since we got back and all that stuff. But I realized that I was just, like, in this mindless stress state, like, while I was eating. And I wasn't even chewing my food. Like, I was just chew, swallow, next bite. And then today I was like, oh, my God, I need to slow down. I need to, like, sit on the floor, just calm down, turn the TV off, turn everything off, just eat my freaking food. And I feel like way less bloated today. I didn't need as many digestive enzymes. So yeah, just stress, stomach acid. What was the other one? Chewing.
Yeah, those are the big ones. Hopefully that helped. Well, I think that should be good for today. We can answer more next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little bit of Updates, personal things.
Rants, and a question.
And some questions, yeah. So, rounded that out. If you haven't already joined our Facebook group, it is an amazing place to meet like-minded individuals.
It is the place to be.
It is the place to be. So, check out our group, Straight Up Paleo Pals on Facebook. We would love to have you in there. It would be great.
Yes. And just remember to subscribe to the podcast if you are not already. And if you feel so inclined, please leave a rating and review. That really helps with our visibility. And if you like health and you want other people to appreciate their health and, stuff like that, then that's the way to do it.
Heck yeah.
And share. You can send it to your mom, your grandma, your cousin, whatever you want. All the above. Tell everybody. Okay, well, thanks again for joining us. We will talk to you again next.
Yes, we will.
Thursday. Bye.
Bye.